All right, welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoig.
Brian Shesko.
Gentlemen, I'm going away this weekend, as it is my, not this weekend, scratch that, next week. I guess I could talk about this next week, but my parents' 50th wedding anniversary is coming up June 1st.
Yep.
It's kind of a big deal. I have a big family. So we are, it first started off, it was just going to be, hey, we don't want anything too big. We just want to have the family over. And some of my siblings said no, after that kind of sat, and then they were talking about it more. And they said, no, we're going to do something a little bit nicer. So it's still a somewhat small affair, but everyone's getting dressed up. Dad's wearing a tux, mom dress.
Oh, wow.
All the brothers and brother-in-laws, black suit, white shirt, black tie, kind of Men in Black style is where I like to look at it. So yeah, all the young people, it's black and the colors are black and gold, and
oh yeah,
so it's
my kind of party right there.
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah.
Saints.
Big time Saints guy.
So it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna go down a couple of days early, and we have extended family coming in too. So it's gonna be a good time.
Georgia, right? Is that what you said?
Gonna be in Georgia. Yep, Columbus, Georgia. If anyone wants to come find us and hang out with us,
Just look them up in the phone book. It's under Smith.
Under Smith. There's a lot of Smiths in Columbus, Georgia. If you can find a phone book.
I'm sure
anyways,
the yellow pages are
for those of you who rely on our YouTube content,
no,
which there might be a few, Travis just figured out right before we went
literally
on air
20 seconds ago
on why the audio went out last week, but the YouTube video did not.
It just kept airing
Travis,
out.
Because it kept airing out, and you couldn't figure it out. Even tonight, you're like,
it was driving me nuts. Like I was Googling everything. I was trying to figure it out. I tried it over the course of 2 days, 3 days.
The computer.
I literally did a whole bunch of stuff. Apparently, I've been recording since last week. The file is 167 gigabytes.
Yeah.
There's no audio to it because I mute all the mics after we wrap.
Right.
So it's literally just dead air for like a week.
Yeah.
A week of dead air plus our episode.
What a size of a file.
I don't know how that happened.
The nuclear secrets of our country on that file.
I don't know how it happened, but it did.
But hey, we got it figured out.
I will not upload a 167 gigabyte file. I will chop off all the dead air. I will upload that alongside this week's episode.
Okay, nice.
But the good news is we figured it out.
That is true. Very true. All right.
Haven't figured out how to play the game right.
No, but we.
Oh,
Or at
Lord.
least we nailed this down.
Maybe that's why I'm so bad.
Right. Well, the interesting thing about this time of the season, as we have 2 match weeks left in the season, there's not a whole lot of planning left. It is pretty. What fire do you have? Do you have any? Can you put it out and bring in? Does it even matter? You got to make a push to maybe try to get up a couple spots and beat your friend in a mini league. Some of you might be in the running for a title and or in the cups. The cups are open, but I'm out of every cup, unfortunately, which is sad. I thought for sure at this time of the season I would be able to be in a couple, but not the case. My slump this season, bar the last 2 weeks, came the 6 to 7 weeks prior. And it was soul crushing. It all started with the assistant manager chip that I couldn't have played worse. And
that was pretty bad.
My slump continued through that. It took me a little while to dig out. Anyways, all that being said, I feel like there's kind of a lot to talk about this week, Brian. You got a few things on the agenda here, right?
Yeah. Game week 36 was fine. I think it was mostly fine.
The
average score was lowish. But
43 or something.
But most of the
43.
It was especially low if you went with any of the trendy forward picks, and definitely the most of the trendy captain picks really hurt you.
Yeah. There was only one team that saved my week, and that was Palace.
Yeah.
Munoz were huge.
So game week 36 had some things that happened. There's only 2 weeks left. Game week 37 has some intriguing things that we need to talk about, some of it. But Dave, I thought you should probably start just by making chicken noises at me to start with, just because you could do it for your... because really at this point, if you don't have the guts to make some of the more offbeat moves,
I know at this time of the season, like for sure,
something that drives me crazy about most content creators is that everyone, especially X, but for the most part, I think the available content creators probably follow the lead content creators.
Okay.
So they just did like they do the awards all the time, like FPL Jor they just did, or they just did, all the like the top 10 content creators or whatever. Okay. And so Andy Martin, FPL Tactician, I think won it, which is awesome and hilarious. But most of those guys that are on there, like, if you see FPL Harry, who keeps being in the top 10,000 or higher every single season for the last 6 years or whatever, and Ben Crellin is going to be a popular person to follow, whatever. But most of those people, you're probably checking it against what they're doing most of the time. Then all the AI generated teams or all of the the FPL, all the goal scoring models or whatever, and you're just following that. We've said it 1,000 times, say it forever. I don't understand playing like that. And I think anytime I ever fall into those traps, anytime I'm playing, that's where I get the most frustrated with myself. Because I just say, everyone gets to a point in the season where you're like, just play your game. And I'm like, why isn't that true weeks 1 through 30?
Sure.
Any more than it's true in game weeks 31 through 38. How many times is a person who how many times is a person who wins FPL, how are they they're not following any model.
You're right. That's a really good call. They end up
being the guests on all of the content creator shows to say, how'd you do it? What advice can you give everyone? And it's always like,
it's a really
I don't even watch this stuff. It's always like that. And it's like, why did that guy triple captain that guy? And it's like, I don't know, just felt like pulling the trigger on it. Nobody else was going to do it. And I feel like that happens every single year. And so that's why, we talked about it last week. I did on one hand, Dave, I had the guts to do what I said I was going to do.
Right.
I sold, and I probably sold the wrong guy, all things considered. Okay. I sold Morgan Rogers. Because I was going to bench Morgan Rogers no matter what. Morgan Rogers was going to be on my bench for the most part.
So then you might as well sell him.
Sold him for Kevin Schad.
Okay, great.
So it ended up being a positive move. My -4 was to go straight to the pick that everyone else did, which was to sell. I sold Marmouche last Saturday.
Okay.
In the morning, the leak was the Manchester City team news was available.
That Holland was playing.
Holland was starting. De Bruyne was starting. Marmouche was benched.
Gotcha.
So I waited.
And I missed that. Thanks for the text.
So I wait. It was too early. I was barely keeping myself awake.
Okay.
So as soon as the leak happened, I was like, thank goodness I didn't go early on any of these other moves. I am gonna start Mateta. I'm gonna start Isak. I'm selling Marmouche to bring in Wissa. There's my -4, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm thinking, all right, this is good. And then when it comes to captain time, I'm like, the most informed guy in the league, I just brought him into my team.
Shada.
I need to put the captain on him, and I'm like, not when De Bruyne's there. So De Bruyne ends up being the captain.
I have something similar.
Yeah. And then I think it was I saw more than one person basically advocating for playing Arsenal I think the Arsenal defense. So I switched Raya into my team from Areola. I know there are plenty of people who have that same setup. That's a wild card setup from several weeks ago.
Sure.
Hedging toward, what has been one of the best defenses of the season with the Arsenal defense, and Areola, who was a cheap starter. And I had Areola in the team the whole week, thinking like, this is rotation Manchester United. That's better than at the beach Liverpool.
Yes.
And I said, no, I think I'm going to go with some of these other opinions.
Yeah.
And so, So not a happy day.
Yeah, no, I get it.
At the end of the day,
I felt similar. My on the pod move last week was sell timber, bring in Gardeval, which was great.
Yep.
Same.
My other move the night before, so Friday night. I'm like, screw it. I'm selling Salah, and I'm bringing in Eze.
That's a huge move.
It's really great.
So I did it.
Yeah.
Now, what I didn't do, and I can't give credit because I heard of someone doing this a couple years ago, but they said when they take a hit, it usually is for someone who has captain potential. So in other words, if you captain the person you took a hit for, now all of a sudden, if it's someone who then produces,
they just have to get a clean sheet if they're a midfielder.
It really washes away.
Yeah.
The hit.
Yeah.
So that should have been Eze.
That would have been really helpful.
I had the captain on De Bruyne and then the vice on Bumo. And it stayed on De Bruyne, but who would have thought, Brian? No bettors thought that would be. I mean, no one thought that Southampton and City game would be 0-0.
No, I wouldn't have guessed anybody.
So anyways, as Eze turns in a game, I'm thinking to myself, daggone it. Like, if you would have followed kind of the rules that you kind of, you set up kind of rules and guidelines so then you don't make certain other decisions or kind of outthink yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's what you did too, right?
Yeah,
you outthought yourself. So
this week, you got kind of the same thing, and I would just say you have a similar issue because there's no clear-cut captain. There's an extremely popular. I think there's an obvious captain. I think there are some other matchups that you might want to exploit. But I think I don't think there's any one person where you're like, that matchup is so far and away the best matchup this week that you've got to get that guy.
Eze at Wolves, home Wolves.
Well, so we needed to talk about that because of the turnaround from the FA Cup final.
Oh, yeah.
So that's exactly why. That's one of the talking points in the last dash deals.
Okay.
The last dash deals, I think the first thing that I wanted to ask about is what you just said a little bit ago, or what we said just a second ago about Liverpool at the beach. Travis, so Dave did the thing. So I benched Salah. I said that I think I had Salah on my bench when we podcast. Yeah. When we did a podcast. When we did it last week.
We were still doing it like 20 minutes ago.
I know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I benched him.
Okay.
Which was smart.
Salah blanks again, Travis. Not just a blank. Played 90 minutes.
Did nothing.
0 shots. Of course, which amounts to, guess what the XG is on 0 shots, Dave?
Probably 0, Brian.
It's 0.
Fast math.
He created 2 chances, which one of them was a big chance and somehow finished the match with an expected assist of 0.03. Not sure how that happened, but whatever.
He had one aggressive pass.
It's almost like the X numbers don't mean anything.
If you play in a league, but it does. If you play in a league that gives huge bonuses for touches in the opposition box, and you had a huge week because Salah had 10 touches in the Arsenal box, which was third.
It's more
most.
touches than Lewis Skelly.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Had on.
Don't be salty
on him before he started laying on the ground.
Because you still couldn't.
I was mostly just the guy just wants to lay down.
Maybe he wanted a break.
He just wants to draw a foul every time things get hard,
again,
it drives me nuts.
Play
the game.
Again,
he shut him down.
Kid's a stud
because of it. He shut him down because of it. So the game plan worked. It's just that if it was the other way around against Saka, I wouldn't want my guy playing that way.
Salah again,
even if he shuts him down.
You got to be successful.
At what cost is not. Yeah.
Salah again.
I just. Sorry.
What a jerk.
Keep going, Brian.
That was a good one. Salah again outscored by Luis Diaz.
We've been talking about
who scored the goal, got a bonus point, 8 points for Luis Diaz this week. Perhaps
was it going in? I think it was going
Diaz
in.
is the 4th highest scoring midfielder in FPL.
Yeah, wild.
Perhaps the biggest issue, Travis, Anfield sector, an excellent account to follow for all your Liverpool news. One of the many accounts to share. Looks like the coaching staff have gone to Ibiza, and the players have gone to Dubai, crying, laughing face. And of course, many accounts sharing the video clips of Slot dancing away, enjoying life to the fullest.
The better part is that they're in Dubai, but guess who else is in Dubai?
Dua Lipa.
Maybe, but Jude Bellingham and Trent were together in Dubai. Apparently,
that's adorable.
The memes are all. Remember Agent Trent? How they were away at the Euros and he was going to get Bellingham to come to Liverpool, and then he ends up signing for Madrid, and now there's Bellingham and Trent in Dubai.
Is there anyone from this team that is worth keeping, let alone
the next 2 matches?
Buying?
Yeah, I think Diaz is probably worth a pickup. Gakpo could be, but that's probably the end of it. I think the attacking players are still going to get opportunities.
So you think they still do care?
I think that they are not
Diaz
going
does.
to roll over, and I do think Diaz is going to get minutes.
Do you like or not like the argument from Arsenal fans saying that if Liverpool fail to win their last 2 matches, that they will finish with fewer points than second place Arsenal finished with last season?
I think it's irrelevant.
Do you like that?
I think it's irrelevant.
Do you love that?
No, I think it's irrelevant.
Okay.
At the end of the day, Liverpool fans were making a lot about their second place finishes under Klopp, where they had like 99 points or something obnoxious.
Oh, right. Okay.
The number of points you get in second place is pointless, right? Just as pointless now as it was when Klopp and them were saying this is good enough to have won most years.
Yeah.
But you didn't win that year, so it doesn't matter, right? It's the same story. I will say this. I shared this in the Slack group. Have you seen it, Dave? Did you see it?
I probably had things going on.
The Anfield. You need to go look at it. The Anfield flags at the Arsenal game were just prime.
Yes.
Prime.
Yes, always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Very insulting.
It's Arteta in a dress.
Yes, in a wedding dress, a beautiful wedding.
It was hilarious. I loved it.
It was not hilarious to a certain fan base.
It was not hilarious. Hey, you hadn't seen it yet, huh?
Trying to get there.
Oh, come on, man.
Trying to get there.
I'll pull it up for you if you want me to.
Hold on. Just give me a second.
Here you go. I love that.
Oh,
isn't that awesome?
My gosh.
It's so good.
That is amazing.
It's so good. He honestly looks like a red-faced Roy Kent there, but it's still
that does
so
look
good.
Like a red-faced
He's
Roy
got
Kent.
a little bouquet and everything.
With
wow.
And the 6 stars.
Hey.
Everyone dressed like that and looking like that always
in no world would I be upset about that. That's excellent.
That's crap
excellent
house. Yeah,
creative. Housery. And I respect that. Like that's very good.
Always reminds.
That's very
there's
good.
always a touch of Jennifer Aniston in pictures like that.
The male Spanish Jennifer Aniston.
So I
All
guess
right.
the question is, Dave sold Salah. You advocate that now fully, or are you more on? Which are you closer to? Selling Salah for any viable midfielder that you don't currently have, or captaining Mo Salah against Brighton in a game where Brighton probably, I don't know, are they open? Are they still playing free flowing football? Do they care? They seem like they still care.
I think they still care.
So-
I think their
Yeah.
manager
So-
pushes them.
Here's the deal. Salah has actively admitted he is chasing records, right?
Okay.
He's not
There-
playing like it.
I agree. I agree with that. There's
What's
nothing.
he chasing? He was trying to get the biggest
so
goal
there's-
involvement.
So there's two major records he's trying to beat. Most goal involvements in a 38 game season, and he could surpass most goals in a season set by Erling Haaland. So there's those two are like one of the things that he's tracking.
What is he close? Is it realistic?
Yeah, so he's already equaled the record of 44, which was shared between Thierry Henry and Erling Haaland, and could pass the record of 47
Is this goal
held by
involvements or-
Andy Cole and Alan Shearer, who achieved it in a 42-game season. So he could achieve in a 38-game season what Cole and Shearer did in 42 games, which is a big deal, right? That's goal involvements, right? Most goals in a season is, probably secondary on there, but again, he's on 28 goals. He would need 8 in the last 2 games to get to 36. That's unlikely. I think that one's off the same. The biggest one, I think, for him is 20 plus goals and 20 plus assists in a single season.
Okay.
Okay.
Has anyone ever done that?
Yes, and that is in the top 5 European leagues, right?
Okay.
The only 2 that have ever done it are
Gotta be Ronaldo, Messi.
Nope. Messi is one.
Okay.
Your boy
Henry?
Thierry is the other.
Interesting.
Okay, so in 02-03, Thierry did it. In 1920, Messi did it. So that's a big one.
2020?
Correct.
19
2019,
19.
2020.
Yeah,
Slash 20.
not the year.
Yep.
It's 19/20.
1920, Messi was very small, but he did it.
Okay.
He's world class.
All right.
So I think those are the 2 big ones: most goal involvements in a 38-game season, and then 20 and 20 in a single season, which would be a big deal. I do think that he's chasing those. He has said in multiple interviews that he is. He's very, very close. He doesn't have to do much, and honestly, the vast majority of what he needs to do is assist. If he just assists goals, he gets
can't
those
even
records.
get his XA
So he
up.
needs 2 assists in the final 2
Can't even
games
get his XA up.
in order to beat be
Right.
on the 2020. And if he does that, he will be at 46. So he needs 3 in order to tie Andy Cole and Alan Shearer for assists or goals
Okay.
to surpass them and set the record, which are a big deal for a guy who has not even been invited to the Ballon d'Or ceremony. That's a big deal to rack up all of these things
I think there's
and then not win. Just goes to show just how underrated he has been
anyone
in
who's
the
ever-
Ballon d'Or.
anyone who's ever listened to this podcast knows that I am not a Liverpool fan. But I would defend Salah like I'm a Liverpool fan, and the fact that he has never been in the running or been invited
It's
to
ridiculous.
that ceremony.
That drives me absolutely up the wall.
I will Liverpool fan. I'll bring
Well,
it out of myself. I really do
No,
think,
and I appreciate
it's
that.
completely insane.
I believe that. I also believe it's insane. And truthfully, I absolutely believe that that's the reason why Trent is leaving. Not because of what happened to Salah, but because he doesn't want what happened to Salah to happen to him.
You can't
He's
be in the
moving.
running. You can't be in the running for big awards.
Yeah.
And
He wants the Ballon d'Or.
Is it
Trent wants it.
Is it because of Liverpool Football Club? Is it because Salah is Egyptian? Is it like what is it?
I think for Salah it is probably because his international exploits are not good enough.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
For Trent though, it is
He's playing on an
mostly
England
about
team that will be good for a while.
Yeah,
and
but
they will have
will they
chances.
win? Yeah, and that's that. I was
will.
about to say, will they win something?
Yeah.
They were in a European final,
Yeah.
so there's that. But he's going to be
They were in a penalty
involved. Right, he's going to be involved in Champions League finals, playing for Madrid. Right,
Yeah.
he's going to be right. There's no way. There's just something about even when Real Madrid is having a down
Arsenal
year
in the Champions League,
right?
Everyone else,
right?
For whatever reason, Arsenal has their number in that stupid competition.
And at some point, Arsenal is going to be fighting relegation again. So it's just a matter of time.
True. You want to bet on that?
Zubamendi's going to turn things around for you.
Hey,
for what it's worth,
you're salty because you didn't want to go to Liverpool last year.
Solid.
No, honestly, I would have been prior to the season if he would have not chosen us and gone to you guys. But with the way Gravenberch has played, I think I'm okay with
that.
it.
You got no cover.
No, but I think we can buy cover, and we can buy cover that is good enough. I think.
All right.
Zubamendi's a starter. Gravenberch needs to be a starter. We need cover. We don't need a starter. We need competition.
Okay.
So I'm okay with that. We can do okay. Right. A Cherky, there's a couple other guys, but right. Stiller would be nice. There's a couple good guys that would be fun. Yeah, Ben Stiller from Zoolander.
The heck is Stiller?
Who? Speaking of Ben, League Ben would be pissed at you for saying that because he loves that guy.
I figured that was a Bundesliga.
Yeah, it's his boy.
Reference, yeah. Brian.
For what it's worth, Salah did score one single goal
against Brighton in the reverse fixture.
Brighton in the reverse fixture. It was in the run of Salah's ridiculous double-digit haul, like endless stream of double digits. That was one of the few games where he did not reach double digits.
But what's going on with Brighton? Brighton is they're like on a roller coaster, right? And they do seem to be on the up right now. Is this the plateau and they're going to tank again as they in the season, or are they going to? Is it what's happening?
I don't think Hertzla is gonna look. They played.
They're playing pretty well.
They beat West Ham 3-2. Mm-hmm. They 3 weeks ago they drew Newcastle 1-1 and they beat Wolves this past week and up until last week.
Like I said, they're on.
It's gonna sound silly. It's kind of been hot Wolves. Welbeck got a penalty in that game or something else. I can't remember, but in the Wolves game this past week, if only there was a way. But
Brighton is not like they're the top of the rest of the teams.
Yeah.
After the but they dipped in form and now they've kind of rekindled a little bit. So it's not a team. I don't. There's no numbers you're gonna get. That's the thing. Like, there's nothing about it where you're like, no, Brighton has just been.
They've
City,
underachieved.
Villa, Palace, Leicester, Brighton.
It's a home game for Brighton, and I think that's the difference. It's Brighton's last home game of the season.
Yeah,
and so
they'll be up for it,
right? And so you're playing the champions. You got to clap them on. That's annoying.
They just drew.
Yeah. What
I'm saying is like it's not a pushover team, it's a team.
I'll answer for Travis, but although I think he already answered. I think it's probably worth bringing in Diaz, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm still not gonna if I'm going to if I'm going to use a transfer this week, it probably won't be that because I don't feel like I can trust it. So, but if someone really wanted to be like, Diaz has been good again, so. If I'm going to take
he's
a
not
risk
at the beach. There's no question he's not at the beach.
He doesn't know where the beach is. He grew up on the beach, and so it's nothing to him. I don't know that. I don't know that to be fact. But
he's from Baracas.
I think it's Caracas, not Baracas.
No, it's Baracas.
It's Baracas? Is Caracas?
I think it was Baracas.
I think Caracas is in Colombia.
You're thinking of B.A. Baracas. That was.
I'm pretty sure
the
Colombian city is Caracas.
It is correct. There is a Caracas, but I thought it was from Baracas.
And if you need to know anything else about your team, let me know.
I would say I would say out of the top 10 transfers in for midfielders, I can see why you would bring in. I might even go. You could go down to number 11 of transfers in, and I think there's really only probably 2 guys in there where I was like, I don't know that I would sell Salah for that guy.
Okay.
But like
I've
Eze,
already done it.
Salah to Eze. You did it last week.
It's Barrancas.
Yeah.
Not Baracas. Barrancas.
Barrancas, but there is a Caracas.
There is a Caracas, yes. But Barrancas is where he's from.
Okay.
Not Baracas. Sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you.
But
as I was saying,
Eze in for Salah, you would do that.
We already did that. He did it last week.
Bowen, I feel like you could make the case, depending on what else you're trying to do with your team. Salah out, Shada in.
Wow. Talk about money.
Morgan Rogers.
Shada, by the way, last 3 match weeks, 8, 14, 11.
Yeah, should have triple captained him last week. Morgan
and the next 2 matches for Brentford, if we haven't discussed it, it's Fulham and Wolves.
The beachiest, probably the beachiest team of all the teams is home Fulham. This is a week where all of a sudden that Wissa, Shada, Boomo triple up doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah.
I might.
Would you go? Yeah.
I'm saying
I might be doing Murphy out, Shada in.
I'm saying
that's what I was going to ask about Murphy, because Murphy, we were like, sell, but he got a 5 last week.
I lost a bet. Morgan Rogers, I can understand it. I think that was one of the guys where I'm like, I don't think I would do that. I feel like the ceiling for Salah is still, it's the highest. It's not the highest in the game right now. He might be the highest in the game for the season, not this second. You couldn't possibly argue that on form or on circumstance. But either way, Boomo, yeah. Palmer, yeah, I might do that. That's where you
Palmer, maybe?
Really?
Yeah. Why not?
You're right. Why not?
Luis Diaz, for sure. We just said Luis Diaz has outscored him easily for a long time now. Morgan Gibbs White is one I would not do. That's one where I would absolutely not. The other cheaper $5 guys are to me obviously better than Gibbs White, despite his big week this week. And then De Bruyne, I think because it's the last home game. If you were gonna think of doing it, yeah, you would do it this week. You'd have to do it.
Okay.
That would be it. Saka, and I still think I would still argue for Saka over Salah in the last 2 games. Unless you have some other reason why you think Saka now.
No.
I'm just saying the point is like
I think
2, 4, 6, 8. Saka's 10.
Yeah, no.
All that top 10.
I would rather play Saka this week
Right.
over.
For me, I don't think I would sell Salah for Morgan Rogers. I don't think I would sell Salah for Morgan Gibbs White. All the other guys in the top 10, I can understand it either on form or on ceiling, considering what the teams are that are in there and what they're trying to do. I would trust it more than whatever Salah is trying to do right now. So
yeah, I agree.
Anyway, that was the first thing. That's the first last dash ditch'em. What did we call
Deals. Last dash deals, Brian.
The second big one. This one's kind of dumb, but how much do you buy the last game at Goodison Park narrative for Everton?
Not at all, but I will say that the last Merseyside derby at Goodison was pretty spectacular.
Old Beto's turned in 2 weeks against Ipswich and Fulham.
Yeah.
Who?
6 and 8.
Yeah.
Mr. Beto. Norberto Bersique Gomez Bentucal.
That's his actual name?
And I'm sure
you made
I
that
said
up.
that wrong.
You made
His
that
actual name.
Does it matter how parked the Southampton
That's
bus
like 6
is?
players.
Is the bus parked, or is this like one of those games where because of the opponent they were up for it at home?
There's no way.
For it at home against Manchester City. Now they're going.
They
to
were
Everton.
up for it.
Sure, they were.
They complained. City complained about how they didn't want to play.
No. I'm saying
they were not up for it. They parked the bus.
Right.
That was the problem. They weren't up for it.
That's being up for it. That's their only chance.
They weren't going for it.
Oh no!
They literally put all 11 men behind the ball.
Yeah.
Plus the ball boys.
Right. But saying
that's what they had to do to try to get a result.
Why didn't they do that all season? They might have stayed up.
Maybe.
Where's Tony Pulis when you need him?
Don't know. I guess that's the question. So if they're going to do the same kind of tactic at Goodison Park,
why would we expect them to do anything else?
Annoying.
Well, I think they'll feel like they can maybe go after it a little bit more at
With
Goodison.
who?
Dibbling.
Armstrong?
Dibbling and Armstrong.
Armstrong.
Manuel Gabadini.
Who's their big 6'7"? Who's their big 6'7" striker?
Gabadini.
Oga Nuchwe.
Yeah, we talked about him a lot.
Dang it. I don't remember his name.
This week, you got Michael Keane scoring a goal, which is hilarious because he's 3.8. If you want to go to a $0, that's as cheap of a defender as you can get. Mikolenko, who's probably actually good, scored another goal. Beto scores a goal for you this week, to your point, Dave. 8 points for him. Currently the second most transferred in of all forwards.
Beto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a look.
I'm looking. It might be a Marmouche out, Beto in.
And then
Also, Armstrong doesn't play for Southampton. I just wanted to clarify. We know that.
Cameron Archer would
just throwing that out there.
Ducore and McNeil both with assists this week. You're probably not buying either one of those guys. But I guess that's my question is, if you were going to get a defender, I guess you could make the case for one of those guys. I guess you could maybe go to Mikolenko. I guess right. I just didn't know if that was the kind of thing where you're like, you know what? It's the last game in their beloved stadium. And
I'm starting Pickford. I had Pickford.
Everton is gonna.
They got to play Newcastle the last game though.
So
right. That's the other. That's the downside.
You don't want Pickford against Newcastle.
Right.
I'm not worried about that.
I don't think
Go ahead and use a transfer on any of the Everton guys.
I'm not bringing him in.
Hey, should I start Stolarczyk?
Who?
Against Ipswich this week?
Sure.
Who?
Yes.
Who's that guy play for? Leicester.
Oh enjoy gosh. The.
I have him set right now.
Enjoy all
speaking
of your.
Of Pickford, because that's my transfer. Is Stolarczyk to Pickford next week? But
I like
just
that.
Throw that out there. Anyways,
go ahead and use your transfer on any Everton asset and enjoy at Newcastle in game week 38, I guess. The next question is Crystal Palace, Dave, and this is the Eze narrative. This is more important, obviously, than the other ones. The big issue is the results are great, but how long would you reasonably expect the starters to play in the game this week against Wolves? The Cup final is on Saturday.
Yeah.
Wolves is on Tuesday the 20th.
I have already moved Mateta on because of that.
So
I mean that and the fact that he hasn't scored really at all.
I guess what I'm saying is if they win, then that's it. That's your season.
Yeah.
So that's I would assume that's why. I mean, Mateta hasn't played over 75 minutes since he came back from his injury. And this week was the most hilarious of all, where he played 59 minutes and 49 seconds or whatever.
I was glad he was on my bench. Annoying.
Should have sold him too. Sarr is one of the guys who's like the 90 minute capable every week, and even he's kind of floated in and out of the lineup.
He did have 2 assists though, didn't he?
I just think that
the number of points that Sarr should have scored this week is 100. The number of points he actually scored was 1 assist.
Just the one, huh?
Right. So the opening goal, it was 1-0.
He had one chalked off. That was what it was.
By what? To me, even looking at the VAR, even looking at the semi-automated sketch of it, to me, I'm like, was it the edge of the sleeve? It's still, to me,
I think it was a skin tag.
It is that close. It's a silly thing, and of course, anyone with Sarr is mad. Anyone without Sarr is totally fine with that decision. I guess the point is, I am hesitant now. Like, if you already have him, you have him. You have the guys that you have. Mooney, I imagine the defenders are fine. Mooney,
I'm keeping Eze, and I'm going to trust that he's going to play 60.
Right. I'm not. That's what I was going to say. I'm not worried necessarily about.
Booker T's going to show up.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, if they can't. I mean, going up doesn't matter any more than money matters.
Right.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if you win the FA Cup, I mean, it's party time. You did the thing that you had left to do for your season.
They have not won a trophy ever, right? I'm pretty sure they haven't.
I don't know. I wish I was that big of a fan.
This is a Ted Lasso derby. This is a Jamie Tart derby.
Yeah.
It's Manchester City versus the Richmond Greyhounds, a.k.a. the Crystal Palace
They
Eagles.
won the championship twice and the full Members' Cup once.
Okay.
They've also won regional trophies and wartime titles.
Okay.
However, they never won the FA Cup or the EFL Cup, and their best finish in the top flight was third place in 90.
There is absolutely no reason why Glasner-managed Palace cannot beat this Manchester City.
Absolutely. Palace absolutely has a massive shot.
We
in this
should
game.
be watching this game together.
The projector's
is
right
this
there,
Saturday?
Man. Wait, this Saturday?
I'll be out of town.
No, I might have to be working.
Wait, when is it?
Saturday,
I am out of town. Remember, I'm in Greensboro. We have the NC Fusion Cup. We talked about this before. This is the biggest moment of my coaching career, Brian.
I'm going to be watching.
I thought you were listening to me
while I'm working.
I'm not even listening now.
All right.
So I guess that's the question. I mean,
I wanted to bring up one other name.
None of this stuff is going to matter until Saturday.
I'm probably going to bring him in, actually.
It's Bruno Fernandes.
Marmoush out.
Oh, jeez. Oh, I thought you were saying that's who it was.
The legend, Jamie Vardy.
I was going to ask about that. I was going to make a joke about that. But
home game against Ipswich.
Right.
I don't know.
Jamie Vardy, I think he bags a goal. I think he's
going to start on the bench.
Really?
No, I don't know. I'm sure he's going to. I'm sure he's going all out.
So his contract expires. He's been there for 13 years. His contract expires at the end of the season.
Well, he's already said this is it.
So he's done.
He's already said this
so
is it.
So you are correct. It will be his
two
last
games,
home game
his last
at
two games,
Leicester.
A 9 and a 5.
Right.
So
excuse me.
Not horrible. Like he's
not.
giving it his all. It's his last home game. It's gonna be emotional.
He might have 6 Red Bulls instead of just the one.
I think I'm gonna go with Vardy.
Wherever he scores, he's gonna make sure that he sprints to the opposing fan side and mocks them directly,
winds them up
in a way that he's never done it before.
Look, Vardy's another guy. I despise Leicester Football Club, but Vardy is a guy that, like, how can you not root?
You love to hate him.
I never hated him.
I love to hate him.
There was a time he was going to come over to Arsenal, and I was like, man, that would be amazing.
No.
That would have absolutely been amazing.
No, it would have been pointless.
No, I mean,
it would have been like the time that
like
Liverpool
6 years
bought
ago.
Ricky Lambert from Southampton. That's how pointless it would have been for you.
Dude, Jamie Vardy's a legend.
Dave,
he was that one season.
Well, I guess, I mean, that's some of the deals. I mean, this kind of blends into each other because it's mostly, I have a lot of questions about individuals here that, I mean, most of them you can tell me if they matter or not matter.
Let's hear your questions.
So number one, let's just stay right where you were. Dave, you said Marmoush out. I sold Marmoush last week. A lot of people sold Marmoush last week. He's still over 26% selected. Which is more than I probably would have guessed, considering how many people sold him last week.
He's just been ice
came
cold.
out hot too, yeah.
Just ice.
Well,
he's just been ice cold.
He cooled off and then got benched, and then the second he stepped on the pitch against Southampton, he hit the crossbar, and that would have been probably the 2000th nail in my coffin this season.
Yeah,
but
if he
I
had
think
scored that
the
goal.
words you were looking for there were against Southampton.
Right. Pep said he probably should have either given him more minutes or brought him on sooner. Also said specifically that he and Holland can't play together, which they were doing that before. I'm not sure why that was any kind of a talking point. I feel like they were good together.
Yeah, they were
before.
Pretty helpful.
So, I guess my question is, if this is De Bruyne's last home game, and it's a Bournemouth team that is, I don't know, they're somewhere, they care a little bit.
I don't think
Can they?
much.
I mean, they can't get to 5th. I mean, they'd have to.
Is Ariola playing for the manager job at a different club?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You wouldn't want him
where
to
else
leave.
Would he, where would he else would he end up?
Talking about him going to Spurs. All the talk about him going to Spurs. I don't know why you would do that. I feel like that's not a. I don't know.
No, it's a bigger job.
It is a bigger job, but do you really want to work for Daniel Levy?
It's a cursed job for whatever reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why it's cursed.
So I guess that's what I'm saying. Like if you have De Bruyne, so many people went to Holland last week. He
played 90.
League Connor, who's far ahead of all of us sitting at the table. I think he triple captained. I think he had
Holland?
his triple captain and put the triple cap in on Holland.
Wow. Bold move, Cotton.
It was, and
his name is Connor.
Some
Cotton.
people probably did that in addition to League Connor.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have seemed like an entirely crazy thing. It's a little crazy.
Against Southampton, the matchup was too juicy though.
Well, now, but we said that though.
Back,
But also, Southampton now. You should have had Ramsdale as your keeper for the last several weeks. He's better than almost.
He did all last
else.
season.
Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is I understand the urge to sell Marmoush, especially after he gets benched. But he scored the same number of points as Wissa and Cunha.
I know.
No, fair.
And every other guy that's in every other team this week.
Except for Wood.
He's
Isak. Same as Isak. Yeah.
Somebody said it. I can't remember who it was. Again, just that I wish I had never seen that stupid Manchester City leaked lineup last week.
Oh.
Wouldn't have sold Marmoush. And now going into this week, I'm like, he's probably fine. But now he's a huge sell. I don't know. I wouldn't be.
Are you talking me out of him and selling Isak for Vardy?
So I have already sold Isak. We can go there next. And the reason why I did it is because of the news that was reported this week that he's getting surgery at the end of the season.
Okay.
So this ongoing. So there's been plenty of question about dip in form, but the last 2 weeks he's played 90 minutes. He said 2 weeks ago it's the only reason why he had any kind of return at all. He got the penalty like late in stoppage time against Brighton last week. I don't know. It was fine, I guess. I mean, he played 90 minutes but didn't do a whole lot. So I think that's the question. To me, like I feel like you could reasonably sell Mateta, maybe more reasonably than Isak. But also, I mean, that was part of what I was saying last week is I just think ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of still feel like, I mean, you guys are in crunch time now. This is.
We're crunching, baby.
Do you like that or not?
Yeah, we're crunching.
Well, okay. But are you concerned at all about having to play Newcastle, who seems to be able to find the way to beat you every single time?
It's going to deter. This game is going to determine who is second place at the end of the season. 100%.
I think conventional wisdom would say Newcastle, for the most part, has kicked our can all season. So the easy thing to come out and say is, oh, well, it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for whatever reason, I think Arsenal's going to. I think they're going to put a game together and really give it to them.
You made the comeback against the best team in history.
It's true.
So that had to feel a little bit good.
True.
They would have done better if they didn't have so many injuries.
True. Hey,
red cards hurt too.
Congratulations on the on winning the Jacob.
You do
Murphy.
have a discipline problem.
Congratulations on winning the Jacob Murphy bet. I was feeling really good about it, especially when it was FPL Meerkat, ascending FPL content creator talent.
Meerkat gets a lot of run on this pod.
Well, but he also gets a lot of
things right.
He's hitting.
But also, I mean, he's one of the reliable, like, predicted lineup guys.
Okay.
And so he said this week, he was like, this is the week I think it finally happens. Isak, Barnes, and Gordon as your front three. Jacob Murphy finally sits. You get Bruno G, and you get Tonali behind the front, and that's your starting lineup. And instead, Murphy starts with all of those same guys anyway. And then, of course, he gets the assist on the one goal that they score. So
they scored 2, didn't they?
I'm selling Murphy for Saka, I think.
I thought they only scored the one. Or did they score another?
If only there was a way.
No, they scored
Tonali
2 because Bruno G scored it was at the very, very end. Yeah.
Yep. They got 2.
No, so I don't care. I still feel like the issue wasn't necessarily that it's Jacob Murphy versus Saka or Palmer or any of those guys. It was more that it was, would you rather have him or one of these other upstarts?
You know who had the other assists? Your boy, Mr. Dan Byrne.
I know. I saw that. Dan Byrne with one of the biggest scores of the week.
That's so funny to me.
The mockery continues.
I know. All right.
So all of that to say, to me, I was okay selling Isak. I still might sell Mateta because I don't care if I have him or not.
Right,
He's going to be benched for me either way.
Let's have some real talk here. If you're going to sell, let's say you have Isak, which you did, and Mateta, which you may have had. Who are you replacing them with?
Well,
Marmouche and
Ollie Watkins is in my team. That was a
Watkins,
kind of a no-brainer move.
That's my night move.
It was going to be Mateta or Isak to Ollie Watkins, and I ended up choosing
Watkins. Have Spurs and United left.
Yes, great matchups. I love those matchups.
Yeah, it's as good as you could expect.
Yep.
I guess the thing with the other question, the reason why with Crystal Palace is this week home Wolves. I mean, on paper, a fine matchup. Game week 38 at your guys. Does that matter at all? Is that 2 teams that just are like there's nothing there?
It's a party.
Yeah,
it's a party. Trophy will be there. I think our guys will be up for it.
They might pour champagne into each other's trophies and drink out. Can you do that in the Premier League trophy?
That would actually be really fun. If Palace brought their FA Cup trophy to Liverpool's trophy celebration and they all celebrated together.
They just go.
That would be amazing.
That would be kind of cool.
They just go 0-0 chasing the trophies.
Let Liverpool,
back across each other's lines.
Let Liverpool do their thing. Don't steal the spotlight.
Yeah.
After that's over, go get your own cup. Everyone's champagning on the field. I think that would be amazing.
Allison and Dean Henderson both they toast each other
great.
at midfield. Yeah, it seems like a great time.
That'd be awesome.
No, so I guess that's the thing. Like this is where I'm like I am hesitant on a lot of the Palace guys. I'm hesitant on the Liverpool guys. I'm hesitant on most of these other teams, and that's where I'm like Aston Villa's in Europe. But they're still playing hard.
Yeah.
They're still pushing higher. Newcastle is still trying to get second place, but their star man needs to have groin surgery as soon as the season's over.
Aston Villa is in Europe, but they are in Europa right now.
Yeah.
They have to push hard in order to get in Champions League.
Right.
They want to be in Champions League. So I think Aston Villa is absolutely a team to target because they're going to be motivated.
Yeah.
100%. I think Aston Villa is a good pickup.
Again, if I had turned my brain on, I wouldn't have sold Morgan Rogers. I would have sold Sarr instead of Morgan.
I'm on Watkins, Rogers,
All Villa
and
has
Konsa.
to do is get to 5th. They're tied with Chelsea on points behind them in goal differential.
Yeah, I think Villa is a great team.
Yeah,
to
but
target.
Chelsea just has to play a rotating Manchester United in game week 37, and then they're away to the current leakiest defense in football, Nottingham Forest, in game week 38.
Forest is going to be playing for something in 38.
Yeah, Forest is going to be up for it also because they're going to be trying to get into Europe more than just the Conference League
Europa
or
Conference.
Bottled
They want that number 6 spot.
I agree they've bottled it, but I do think they show up. The other issue with Forest is I think Forest rallies with Taiwo in a coma right now.
Oh yeah, I guess they could use that
with everything's going on.
Is he in a coma?
Yeah, the medically induced coma from an abdominal injury sustained from colliding with the goalpost during the match.
Are you serious?
He went off.
Is that this? Did
Received
that happen
yes
week?
this week. He went off, received treatment.
Way.
There was a miscommunication between Nuno and the medical staff. They made their final transfer, final substitution, and Taiwo, because Taiwo was good to go back on. He was visibly not able to continue, and Nottingham Forest played with effectively 10 men for the rest of the match, and that led their owner to make his way down to the pitch at the end of the game and confront Nuno.
Oh wow!
About what happened, because not only did they draw a game they kind of needed to win, but they also had a player on the pitch that was probably not fit to be on there and is now in a medically induced coma.
Oh my god.
Which is wild. So I think they're up for it. I don't think they fall apart. I think they come together and then they hit it hard.
They, if anything, their defense hasn't mattered. If they're, I mean, this week they could have rallied a little bit. You'd think they would have done that against Leicester, and they didn't. They ended up having to come back and draw, but
they did.
They did. Morgan Gibbs-White. We don't want to get to Brentford yet. Morgan Gibbs-White, one of the top scorers this week, 13 points, goal and assist, 3 bonus. It was Morgan Gibbs-White's first returns of any kind since game week 29.
Which is weird.
7 total points in the previous 5 matches. He took 5 shots this week, which is good.
Still don't want him.
He had 1 shot on target.
Rather have Elanga, right?
I would rather have Elanga. He had 1 shot on target, an XG of 0.52, XA of 0.28. So pretty good job getting a goal and an assist out of that. At West Ham is fine.
West Ham's on the ascendancy.
I guess the one thing, I don't know if you guys care about previous results, but the last 4 Premier League matches.
All results.
Yes, for sure. The last 4 Premier League matches between Nottingham Forest and West Ham, there's been 14 goals.
That's it?
Wow.
4-0 and 3-2 West Ham wins in 2023. And then last year, 2024, Nottingham Forest won 2-0 and 3-0. Can't imagine there's a nil happening for either side on this one. For what it's worth, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Taiwo Awoniyi were the only 2 players with more than 1 goal in those 4 matches. So they scored 2 each. Bowen, Elanga, Chris Wood, they all managed to score goals in those games. I don't know that matters all that much. I guess the point is that there's been a bunch of goals in the game. If you have Milenkovic, if you still have, if you're Nico Williams, I know I've been screaming about him all season, but whatever. Murillo did not make the squad this past week. I'm not sure if he will. I know he had trained. I think that was the question of whether or not he would actually make it or not. Obviously, was not able to make it. But I just can't imagine making a transfer, using a transfer in Gibbs-White. Would you have him?
Yeah.
If you got him last week, it was one of your guys. I guess it's still fine. But again, inefficient. Scored on a low XG header. Had 5 shots and did the same thing that Gibbs-White did. Put 1 shot on target.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's kind of his MO though.
I'm just not this. Whatever this is, I just don't. I wouldn't be going to any of those guys. I'm not sure that I'd be selling.
No, I'm not going to any of them.
If you already had Wood, feels like the only guy or one of the defenders. If you have,
I have Milenkovic.
Right, you still have him.
I might not start him this week.
That's the thing. I'm
benching Sells. I'm playing pick.
Not Elanga.
Nico Williams benched.
Not Elanga.
Elanga scored.
And I know and you also like Aina a lot, right? You're a real big Aina guy.
You gotta have a defender that's reliable. No, Elanga is still good.
7 points this week.
Right. Got the assist on the goal and surely had bonus points
2
out of that.
He would have had to have. Yeah.
So I like him. I feel like all of it's the same thing again. Out of the 10 players or 11 players that are ahead of him and transfers in this week, I would probably roll the dice on almost all of them, except Gibbs White.
Yeah.
Actually, the next team I would want to ask you guys about is Chelsea. Pop quiz, hot shots. 2 Chelsea midfielders are in the top 10 for shots this year. So in 2025, 2 Chelsea midfielders are in the top 10 among midfielders for shots in 2025. Who is it?
Palmer and Madueke.
I would. Oh, man, I feel like
Might actually be Enzo and Madueke. Now that I'm
begs
thinking
a
about it.
different answer. I think I would probably go Palmer and Enzo.
The correct answer is Cole Palmer and Pedro Neto.
Oh, interesting. Madueke is not the guy.
Neto.
Cole Palmer, 53 shots in 2025, number 1 for midfielders.
Okay.
Cool.
I would say throw out this last week because Nick Jackson is an idiot. And I don't think I was not that.
It wasn't an
wasn't
idiot.
that terrible.
It wasn't an idiot move. It was just weird.
But either way,
And it was a yellow card escalated to a red, and it seemed
Pedro Neto, 33 shots in 2025, which is 10th best, tied for 10th.
Good for him.
With Dango Utara. Both
Altara.
players,
wow, Tara.
Utara. Both players have
Utara.
over 20 chances created as well, and they're close. Palmer 28, Neto 24. So they're that front three of Palmer, Neto. It seems pretty established, or at least however they're
Jackson.
Distributing here. Well, now if Nick Jackson is suspended, you're going to have Palmer, Neto, Enzo, probably Madueke.
Yes, I would agree.
I would imagine is your front.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, since game week 25, so just say forget all of 2025, Neto actually didn't starting until game week 25, so 4 weeks into the calendar year. So starting in game week 25 when Neto started starting, among midfielders, he's actually 6th for shots. He's 4th most shots on target, 11th for touches in the opposition box. He's 5th for chances created, and he's tied for 3rd for big chances created.
Wow.
So I'm saying realistically, if you decided that you wanted to, I guess Palmer, hilarious, the 34% selected Palmer is now a punt.
Weird.
But you could, if you wanted to go to him, you have the I guess the recency bias of he scored a penalty 2 games ago, and last week they had to play most of the game with 10 men. And then you have Enzo, who's been probably more attacking, or at least as attacking as Cole Palmer has. And now you also have an actual argument to make for Pedro Neto, who is a massive, massive differential, only 1.3% selected. But with numbers comparable to those guys. And, this is your top 4 team. There is, I don't know. That seems like there's something there. I don't know that Neto would be the place. Because if you're picking one of them, you have Salah to throw away.
Yeah.
If you want to.
And this is the week to do it, right? United at home, and then Forest away isn't bad because, like you said, they've kind of
and that's a
started a problem.
That's a top 4, top 5, top 6 deciding match.
Yeah, both those are pretty good. Chelsea's not a bad pickup. I would agree with that. They capitulated a little bit against Newcastle though this week.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't bother you or worry you?
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's only a slight worry, only because That's what I'm saying. I just think
because I don't know that the Nick Jackson foul really changed the game significantly. I mean, obviously it does. You're playing against different players, right? A different amount of players.
I just think it was so.
It looked like Newcastle was going to win anyways, right?
I just think it was so early. If it had happened,
that's fair.
I mean, it's not like they were cruising.
Right.
I mean, they got scored on kind of early, but I mean, it's at 35 minutes when he gets sent off.
Right.
So that's like,
there's
still a lot of game left at that
game.
at that point.
That changes everything.
And you only lose
2-0
in the 90th minute, maybe in stoppage time. I feel like it was extremely late. But either way, it's not the kind of team that I'm like they've been lethargic or they've been bad or whatever. And I'm like, you just had it 2 games ago where people might have thought about going to Cole Palmer even this past week or going to one of the other guys, and it wasn't out of the, I don't know, it wasn't a horrible move, I guess is what I'm saying. So I just thought those numbers were crazy. I mean, Enzo is already, I mean, we didn't talk about him a ton. I know he's been a consideration for some other people, but whatever. West Ham, we talked about West Ham. Obviously they're.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Just last thing on Enzo. His last 4 match weeks, 5-6-9, and then a 1 against Newcastle. So
right,
it's been somebody who's been producing.
He's been very good,
and he's 4-7. So if you're going to Holland, let's say you got to have Holland this week, and you got to move someone out and make some money, and you're willing to take a hit.
Is anybody really thinking I've got to have Holland this week though?
Yeah, maybe. Some people are.
I don't know.
Same people that brought in triple captain him last
but
week.
that was against Southampton.
Yeah, they're playing Bournemouth this week. That's
not the same.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if you want to make money on someone who could still produce for you on a bench boost or something, Enzo at a 4-7 is not a bad idea.
We've said that before. It didn't go very well.
All right.
I was going to say, I know for West Ham, the obvious pick, at least for this week, is Jared Bowen. He keeps getting returns. He's probably, if you haven't considered him, or at least you
only
are considering him.
12.6% owned.
Seems a little low. Andy Martin has made it very clear. One of the things that's worth paying attention to the most is when their significant others are pregnant.
Oh.
And how that impacts performances. He talked about Justin Kluivert ahead of his girlfriend, wife's pregnancy, whatever it was.
Boyfriend.
Definitely not. She gave birth to the baby several weeks ago, and Justin Kluivert has
fallen off a cliff.
Right. So one of the things
I'm not blaming him. I've got 3 kids.
Listen,
I get it.
One of the things
just happens. It's part of life.
One of the things he's talked a lot about, and I know, I guess.
What, is Bowen's significant other about to have a kid? Is that what you're about to tell me?
Bowen is engaged and is planning, I think, a Las Vegas sort of bachelor's kind of weekend.
Okay, and
it's like after the last week of the season.
Okay.
And it's close enough that for him, it's like, hey, you might want to pay attention to some party planning here. Jared Bowen's mind might not exactly be in Ipswich in game week 38. Game week 37, you got to be up for it because it's your last home game. Game week 38, your season's over. There's nothing
I want to hope
else.
that Bowen's got some goal scoring incentives written into his contract,
sure
and he can place for some extra money against Ipswich. That's what I would do. All right.
So anyway, just something I would like, not that we need to keep dragging other content creators into this, but I think that is it's a fair point. I would love to find the exact place where he found that, but either way, if you want to go searching through his timeline, I'm sure you can find it. But either way, good note there.
Okay.
Kudus got an assist this week. I don't know that you're necessarily going anywhere near that. It was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who you do not have. I brought in Max Kilman weeks and weeks ago on my wild card because I wanted a West Ham. That's why I have Areola. That's why and I wanted a West Ham defender because their schedule through the rest of the season was kind of green.
Did you play Wan-Bissaka the last 2 weeks?
I didn't buy Wan-Bissaka because he had a toe injury.
I thought you just said you
I
got
bought Max Kilman is what I said.
Which was fine this week.
But I benched Max Kilman because why in the world would I play him?
Because you were playing
Juan
United.
Bissaka the last 2 weeks with a 7 and a 12.
They sold Anthony. They can't score.
7 and 12 for Juan Bissaka in the last 2 weeks. Obviously playing, feeling some attacking freedom. For what it's worth, since game week 21, so this is your calendar year 2025, he is 6th for chances created, and he's tied for 1st among defenders for big chances created. So that's it. He's not shooting a lot. It's not involved. He's not involved in the box all that much. It's just that I don't know what he's 5% selected. Again, I don't know what defenders you're going to buy here. It's not, again, to me, I just don't know that you're using transfers on anyone, but if you were going to, Aaron Wan-Bissaka seems like as good of a pickup as you could possibly get. Not necessarily for Nottingham Forest, but definitely in game week 38 for Ipswich. Unless that toe injury, which has needed an injection as recently as 3 games ago, which is why he had the 0 4 games ago or whatever it is. Unless that toe injury, which has needed an injection, needs to have something more than an injection at the end of the season. I think that's most of the guys. Danny Welbeck. Dave, Danny Welbeck keeps scoring. Do you miss him?
Right now? Yes, absolutely.
That's an excellent question.
Absolutely.
He's a goal scorer.
I know, man.
That's what they need.
Scoring
but when he was
goals
at Arsenal,
as a forward.
We just couldn't ever keep him healthy.
Yeah, Jack Wilshere was always hurting him.
Gosh.
Dave, Danny Welbeck is as if you need more insult to all the injuries that you've had this season.
I need that.
Danny Welbeck is back to starting pretty much every game toward the end of the season here. He started every game since game week 31. In that time, among forwards, Danny Welbeck is 3rd for forward points. He has 28 points since game week 31.
Wow.
That is 3rd most. He has 3 goals. Only Wissa has more than that, which is 4 goals. So he's one of the many forwards with 3 goals. He's kicked 12 shots, which is 6th most. He has 6 shots on target, which is 4th most. He has 24 touches in the opposition box. That's 5th most.
Against the Liverpool that maybe or may not be at the beach this weekend.
Home game for Brighton against the champions.
And then they finish up.
Statement.
And then
end of season.
and then
they finish up with
38.
Spurs.
Exactly.
Who have one eye on a different
Danny
match.
Marmouche out for next week. Danny Welbeck in for my final bench boost.
I would like anyone to explain how it is bad that Danny Welbeck gets home against Beach Liverpool and away against the worst Tottenham Hotspur team in history. Danny Welbeck, to me, as excellent of a pick for the last 2 games.
Better than Watkins?
No.
Not better than Watkins.
No way.
But to me,
better than he should be.
It's
better than Mateta.
You can
better than Isak.
Your argument for Vardy makes sense. Argument for
I'm not going there actually, but I wanted to.
I'm saying
I would take Welbeck over Vardy.
I would too.
But I'm saying
maybe it's the last week. It's the last 2 weeks.
You went to Watkins. People going to Watkins in droves this week. Everybody went to Wissa last week for good reason. Brentford is finishing home Fulham and then at Wolves. I don't know why you wouldn't want as much of that as you can get a hold of.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So totally understandable why you would make that move. But that's what I'm saying. All the other transfers in for forwards, like Beto, that makes sense. I don't understand. I am totally on board with people deciding to go ahead and try Beto for 1 week. And then bench him in 38, I guess. Chris Wood, totally understandable. West Ham's still green, so how can you ignore
but
green?
you want to play 3 forwards in 38, right? Generally,
I want to play everyone
yeah.
who's on bench boosting.
and you want to target a bench boost.
I think you want 3 forwards.
Yeah.
I think, especially because by game week 38, you'll know so much more about lineups. You'll have so many more people who are like shut down for the last game of the season or whatever.
Yeah.
So many people going. Cunha's still on the top transfers in, even though he went for a yellow card and 58 minutes and a 0. That's a guy who, like, he's 5th most, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th most done. Transferred in.
I just feel like he's done. Like he's shut himself down.
Strand Larson subbed on this week, and he had not been playing.
Who?
You owned him recently. Don't play that.
Strand Larson. I understand the move, I suppose. If you're going to go to Holland, home Bournemouth at Fulham, sure. Why not? Marmoush and Holland, either one of those guys. Vardy, again, totally makes sense. After that, I feel like it gets dicey. Mateta is a sell. Liam Delap, I don't know what people are doing there. Gakpo, you said it.
I think his
It's
form is
not as stupid as some of the other moves you could make, but it's still not a priority move.
Yeah.
Isak way down there. Isak obviously a sell to me at this point. Marmoush us hardly being brought in. That feels more of a mistake than it is a strategy, right? And then Evan Nielsen, I don't know what the guy did wrong. Bournemouth just they played Aston Villa, and they lost 1-0.
Yeah.
On a glancing toe touch from Watkins. I mean, it's not like I don't know. And also that was one where Tyrone Mings probably should have gotten sent off. So
I missed that part.
Tyrone Mings put an elbow on Scott, I think was the midfielder for Bournemouth, but hit him so hard.
Adam Scott. Is it Adam Scott?
No, it was Alex Scott is the name of the midfielder. Alex Scott got hit so hard in the jaw that it was kind of gross. I felt like he was gonna puke, but he couldn't drink. They kept giving him water, and basically as he was sitting on the ground, like his jaw was it was hurt so bad. He kept trying to go. He actually made it to halftime, but every time he sat down, every time he had water, it was like he couldn't swallow it.
What if he broke his jaw?
He had to have surgery, so he's out.
Yeah, so he did break his jaw.
I mean, it was bad enough. Whatever, it was either nerve damage or something, and that was
I've had that done
directly because of an elbow from Tyrone Mings.
Mings elbowed me one time, and I broke my jaw.
So it's very similar to the Nick Jackson incident.
I think it felt like broad opinion is that Mings was worse than what Nick Jackson did.
And the thing about Nick Jackson was that Nick
harsher.
Jackson looked at him.
That's exactly it.
And then decided to do it.
Right.
Like it
Mings,
it looked intentional.
If you want to go find it, go look at it. To me, my view of it was Mings. It wasn't as obvious where he looked back and then threw the elbow out, but he obviously knew that he had the man coming on and needed to get some leverage on the guy, and he definitely reacted by putting his elbow up, and he put it right on the guy. Like,
man, that is wild. That is absolutely wild.
I like autoplay ads, but either way, it was bad enough that the guy needed to have surgery.
Good gosh.
So what I'm saying is, like, Evan Nielsen and Bournemouth were
in the game.
They were in the game, and you lose 1-0 to a team that's playing as hard as they possibly can. Yeah. So I still think he's a good pick. This week, again, you're at Manchester City, game week 38. Everyone has already talked about how they're going to go to someone from Bournemouth, whether that's Semenyo. I wouldn't go to Kluivert, but people would probably do that. And then Evan Nielsen, because they're home to Leicester in game week 38.
Yeah.
So again, I'm saying that out of all the forwards that are out there, like, I think you can make the argument. You could make the argument like 10 forwards deep.
Okay. That's solid. All right. Well, we can move on to night moves. Strong work there, gents. I haven't hit make transfers yet, but
you know what that does for you,
Murphy,
though.
I know.
Like you sit on that and the prices change, and then all of a sudden you've got all sorts of issues, man.
I can't wait for that to happen. Murphy out, Saka in. Isak out, Watkins in.
Interesting. Who are your other forwards?
Vissa and Marmouche.
Okay.
I don't want to take a -8. I'm willing to take a -4 this week and then possibly take a -4 next week. But to make sure that the bench boost is right.
Your other option, if you haven't used the transfer
Which
yet.
I was considering Palmer, and I was also considering a triple up.
You don't own Bowen, or you do?
I have Bowen.
You do. Okay.
It's Bumo as a De Bruyne, Saka, Bowen. Once I hit and make transfers, I haven't done that yet.
You could if you haven't used the transfer, Dave. I'm not telling you what to do,
but
you could bank it. Save your big hit for the
last game week,
for the goalingest match
because you're gonna
the
bench
season.
boost and get it back anyways, right?
I really want Watkins in the Tottenham game. I mean, he's honestly
I agree with that.
he's a captain possibility.
Right. He's
this week.
definitely a captain
same.
option this week.
I really think Saka's going to have a good game against Newcastle. I know that sounds crazy.
I want to find a way. Saka in game week 38.
Well, and then you got to have him
So you need him
for Southampton.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So he's a captain option in game week 38. He's a triple captain option probably in game week 38.
Are you alluding to what you're planning?
I'm just thinking of what I'm.
He's got to figure out
one of the options.
Brian, you might want to triple captain Watkins this week against Spurs.
I'm thinking about it.
Serious. That's a serious consideration.
Interesting idea.
This rotated Spurs team, who got kind of ripped to shreds. Crystal Palace should have. I mean, that's another one.
And right after Liverpool did the same thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So no, it's definitely an option. The team, there are definitely some. But this is what I'm saying for captain options. Even like the Fulham game is good for any of the front three of Brentford. So I know like the numbers favor Wissa and Shada, but last week so many people on Captain Bumo end up with something. You probably didn't have, like me, the guts to put the C on Shada. But this week, I think that's fine. If you really believe in your guy Salah, no,
not enough to captain him.
Right. So but he's going to be a auto captain just because of either, I don't know, dead teams, but also name value is going to suck people in. And playing against a team where it might not be all that bad. Any of the Manchester City, but especially if you want farewell tour De Bruyne at home against Bournemouth, it's not crazy either.
I don't know where I'm going captaincy yet.
But that's why I think the difference is, and the reason why it should have switched, and this is why. He had been playing so much further forward
until Haaland came
before Haaland came back.
Yeah.
And so now it's more of distributor and follow up De Bruyne more than
late arriving. Yeah.
Right. Bowen can't stop scoring, and you get the last home game of the season against leaky Nottingham Forest.
I know he's a captain,
and you
choice.
have
he's the hottest.
You have Eze for a home game against Wolves for their tune-up for the FA Cup final.
So hold on, so this game is a tune-up. It's before the FA Cup final.
Yeah, but
No, it's after.
It's after.
That's what I thought. It's after. The FA Cup final is this current weekend.
It's a tune.
I just don't.
It's a tune down.
It's a tune down. Thank you. It is a tune down
from the FA Cup.
Yes, a tune down.
I just think that FA Cup is going to matter too much. Eze is probably not the way to go.
If they lose the FA Cup final, then I would guess that they need like you want to finish on a high. You don't want to finish with the FA Cup final loss.
They don't have anything to play for. They don't have anything to play for.
It's their last home game. You're going to want to. Your fans are going to expect you to come out and show out at the racetrack.
If you win the FA Cup final, then you get like
celebration
you
fans,
get a party,
and then you still want to show out.
Right,
in front
you
of
still want to
fans.
be okay.
I think as is.
So it's not
fine.
it's not maybe not a captain, but it's still like you still need to see what happens.
Well, I tell you what, it's tough to not go Watkins.
Right.
Man, I love a midfield captain, but man, is it interesting to. I think I'm gonna do it currently.
I don't know how many
and
people
Bowen's
are
going to be the vice.
I don't know how many people are going to do it.
You can't forget about the Vissa and Bumo.
I'm saying
Vissa up until the last match, Vissa was riding a 9-11, 7-7, and then against Ipswich, crazy, he got a 1.
Right.
So Vissa had been uber hot coming into this past week.
Cole Palmer is still in 34% of teams, and he's the 6th most transferred in for midfielders this week. I'm sure because of the just abandoned ship on Mo Salah, and they are playing the other heavily rotated team, Manchester United, at home. So this is like that's another guy where I'm like, I don't know that there's something. I think the total recent form would probably keep you off of it, but you've already seen Cole Palmer is he might have the highest single score of anyone this season. Didn't he have the high? I think he's the only person where he scored at least 4 in that Brighton game. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not expecting him to get back to that, but like he just went for 10 against when they dismantled the champion Liverpool 2 weeks ago.
Complete demolition.
Just destroyed them at home. So I'm just saying that's not that to me. If you were
demoralizing.
Yeah, I mean, it totally ruined the end of the season for Liverpool so bad it drove them all to Dubai. But I'm saying, like, that's another guy. Like, there are so many that you, like, you talk about a big swing on a week. This is a swingy week because there's, like,
I need a swingy week.
15 or 16 viable captain
Although,
choices.
if you're going to triple Captain Watkins, then I need to captain someone else because I'm trying to catch you. I know it's very bleak. Again, I'm 37 points behind. But.
Ollie Watkins now up to 20% selected. I would guess that by, I mean, it's only Tuesday.
But there's Friday matches.
I think in the next 2 days.
Remember, this is a weird week. It's Friday, Saturday. There's hardly anything Saturday. Friday, Saturday, game Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
By the time kickoff happens on Friday, though, he'll be at 25 or 30%. It's going to go way up. He's by far the most transferred in. He's 90,000 more transfers in than Eze. And that's going to, I don't know.
Increase probably.
Double.
All right, so what's your move? What's your night
One move done, Watkins in, Isak out, and it really does matter. The last decision will be it's more benching headaches.
Yeah.
And what I do with Salah. Am I selling Salah to bring in one of these other? Am I just making the move to get Saka or Palmer this week?
Yeah.
To just to have those guys available, or do I just roll with Salah and hope that he doesn't have another 0-0-0 like he did this week?
Okay.
So, and yes, the current C on Ollie Watkins with the V on Shada.
Okay. Travis?
Interesting. I went from Mateta to Watkins. That was my night move. I did that this evening. And then my captain is currently on Vissa, which is where it was last week. I'm going to leave it on there just to try to recoup what I lost from last week.
Okay. I like that.
So
I like that a lot. Travis, you're 40 points behind brother Matt. Is there any desire to try to pass him?
I am going for Matt. I'm going for Scott. I am trying to do everything I possibly can to overtake both of those guys.
I love it.
It's all I have to play for.
All right. gentlemen, look, again, I'm not sure we can cover much more to get you ready to close out the season. Covered a lot of good options, and really that's all we can do. Hopefully we were entertaining along the way. Look out for our second uploaded pod this week. It'll be the one from last week, and you can see where we were right and we were wrong. We were right about a lot of things. And look, I'll quickly go over the FPL America podcast, currently in first place, and I don't think he's going to be caught. League Brett's Ballers, currently sitting on a overall 2, 4, 5, 6 overall rank, 23,000. What a year! Brett's Ballers continues to crush. League Glenn SOLFC is in second place. Our own mini league Damien, he's gotten out in front, and no one's going to catch him in the mini league.
Same.
Life After Klopp sitting on a 2386 overall rank of 130. So well done. That's just kind of a top 3 update there in the podcast league. And yeah, there we go. I'm looking at the top 10 in the podcast league. League Anthony, Game of Thrones. He's won the FPL America podcast league. He was struggling for early in the year and has really made a strong comeback. He's climbed up into the top 7. So kudos for him. And then the Tractor Boys are back. League Connor. They're not back much longer. They're about to be gone.
Unfortunately.
Again, he's still trying though.
Yeah,
that's all I think I want to see at the end of the season is that you don't just quit.
For sure.
Oh, I give up so early.
Yeah,
for sure.
So early.
All right, Travis, we got to improve on that. All right, that's all we got for the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith. Until next time.